Welcome to episode 25 of On My Studio Table. So glad to have you join me again, and thank you so much for all your support, your comments, your likes, and just for watching. I'm really excited to take you on a bit of a journey with me today. First of all, I'm inviting you to come for a walk with me and with my husband. It's just such a beautiful environment to be in. And then after that, I'm actually going to take you with me eco-printing for a day, so you can see my process and what I do to do a day of eco-printing of mixed items, including papers and cloth and also clothing. It's not a tutorial as such, it's more just taking you with me as I go through the day. I'm also going to share with you, as usual, my journal page in the stitching journal that I'm doing with Catherine Chambers of K3N. And I will also share with you some information and some photos and so on of my pop-up shop last weekend. I mentioned in previous videos that I was going to be part of an event called Longford Blooms. And this has now happened, and it was such a lovely time. We had fantastic weather on the Saturday. Sunday was not so good, but there were still plenty of people around. They just came armed with umbrellas and hats and coats and so on and enjoyed the day. I've been going for 6 or 7 years, and the whole town is actually abuzz. Lots of people going to look at gardens, market stalls in different parts of the town, pop-up shops including mine and another friend who was also in the same building as me. And I found it a very friendly and beautiful occasion to be part of, and I would like to thank everyone involved in organising this event. And that was not just 1 or 2 people, it was a whole community of people. I actually feel that it was a very successful time, not just for me but for others also. Of course, I'm really tired. You're talking to people all day and you're on your feet a lot, but I just would be very happy to do it again. I'll also share some close-ups of the things that I eco-printed. 2 of them are hanging behind me. Initially, I thought the tank top was linen, but it's actually cotton. It's a lovely knit and it feels like linen. And then the butterfly top is cotton also. That one I needed to do a bit of mending on. It had quite a bit of damage around the neckline because somebody must have been wearing some quite serious jewellery with this top. I've actually done a bit of blanket stitch around the edge with some embroidery floss in red and some running stitch also in red. So it actually is quite a nice detail now, and it fits in with my ethos of sustainability, upcycling, saving things from landfill, and so on. I also had to do some small mends on it, but I feel that that's part of its story. The other things that I'm going to share with you are the papers that I eco-printed. I did a variety of papers, as you'll see in the next part of the video, and they were all responding in different ways to the plant materials that I used. One of the exciting results, again, was with Lamandra. I shared what that did on photo printing paper in a previous video. This time I tried it on silk and wool and also on some different paper, and it's really quite interesting the results that I'm getting. Someone also asked me on Facebook, have I tried any other parts of the plant? And that's made me think, well, yes, I will do that. I haven't yet, but I will do that. So watch this space. So I hope you enjoy the video. And I'm sure you'll find a lot of things that will interest you, and I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. This is my outdoor studio. This is where I store my eco-printing paraphernalia. It's also where we keep our laundry trolley and various clothes horses, including the one that I use to hang my eco-dyeing on to dry. I've got my 3 largest pans on the top because I use them all the time. And this is actually a cupboard that we bought at an estate sale. It didn't have sides on it, it didn't have a top on it. So my husband actually put new sides on it, you just see there, and a new top. And it's very rustic, but I actually really like it. My pans range from 25 litres down to about 15, I think. But I do have more pans in the cupboard. Before I open the cupboard and show you what's in it, we'll just look in this box here. Here are some rocks, which are quite dark because they've been in dye pots weighing down stacks of paper. And here we have some tiles, and I use them to put the paper in between. And in the cupboard there are drawers, which are very useful. I keep my recycled t-shirt yarn in there, my multi-purpose rubber gloves, which are getting very dirty, a brush to scrub the pans with, some rags, a bit of netting. Sometimes I want to tie up some onion skins or strain something out, and I just peg that on top of the pan to do that. And there are the pegs. Close that. The second drawer has a lot of rusty cans in it, some rustier than others, and also my copper pipe. So some of them have the bottoms cut out, some of the cans, some of them don't. Just open the cupboard now. Here are some more pans. These are mostly stainless steel. There's a crock pot at the bottom, and I do use that sometimes, and I just let it cook overnight. I also have some shellac, which sometimes I use to coat eco prints on paper, which is a natural sealer. I'll just pull out this box and we'll just have a bit of a look, if I can. Okay. This is a bag full of avocado seeds and pips, which a friend saved for me. And underneath is some wattle bark. Wattle bark gives a lovely terracotta colour if you add bicarb of soda to the water. So that's waiting for me to use it one day. This bucket is a recycled catering bucket. As you can see, it used to have mayonnaise in it. That's my iron water. And this jar is where my mother iron water, I guess you could call it, is brewing. And then here I have various other bits and pieces, a lid for my big pan, and lots of rusty, there's the lid, lots of rusty bits and pieces that I add to my work. Old towels, which are really useful for when you're rolling up your layers. So moving on, just go past the clothes horses, show you a glimpse of the lovely view from here, and our little orchard, just starting that up. Vegetable garden beds with herbs, and my pots with their cages to protect them from wallabies and possums. And here is my dirty pot. This is my pride and joy. I'll go around so you can get a full view. So it's a 1940s electric laundry boiler. We put power points on the outside of the house so I can actually have it outside. And as you can see, it's covered in mould, which is because it hasn't been used for a while. So what I do is I have a strainer and I use that to scoop it off and then put it on the compost heap. So I have one of my pans here and my strainer, and I'm just going to scoop it off. It usually stays in one piece, so I don't lean over it, I don't want to breathe it in, and a mask is a good idea also. And it comes off in one piece, and this will just go in my compost bin. And then I'll boil the water and it's good to go. So you can see there's still a vestige of mould on the top. So I'll just scoop that up. You can see it there. And I'll just bang it on the pan to shake it off. I've now got my largest pan, the 25 litre one, on the hot plate, and I'm having to put 2 burners on because it will only heat up part of the pan if I just sit it on one burner because it's so big. Yes. And next to it I've got avocado seeds and skins drying. I'm going to experiment a bit more with avocado dyeing. I have just received some alum lactate to try, which is a more natural mordant to use. So that will be sometime before Christmas, hopefully. Is going to be my studio table today. So I've got an old towel and some plastic which I keep reusing to protect the table, although it's metal so it probably isn't totally necessary. A pile of wool and silk fabrics, some tannin dip with some tea bags, and these are used tea bags that I've saved. And this is a vinegar solution with 2 tops soaking in it. They are cellulose, so they will also get an iron dip. Some cans ready to use with my ties underneath made from recycled t-shirts, and the copper pipes and a basket full of foliage. I have 2 kinds of eucalyptus leaves in this, some bracken fern and some lamandra seed heads. And then over here I have some papers which I'm going to do also, and a rather wicked looking knife which I'm going to use to fold the papers and cut them. Gives a nice soft edge when you do it that way. I have a vintage butter knife that I use too, but some of these papers are a bit too thick for that. I've now cut the papers. From the left I have some thin card, then some sketchbook paper and some more thin card. These were at big A3 sheets, so I've cut them in half lengthwise on this side and in half the other way on this side. And this is an assortment of cardy papers. It's all I have left, so I'm going to have to order some more, I think. It's a lovely paper to work with. And you'll see with these papers, these have a lovely soft edge now because I folded them and then sliced them with the knife. My pan is now boiling. I've done several bundles of paper. I think there are 6 bundles, each with 2 cans in them of various sizes, some rustier than others. And I've layered the leaves in between the papers. I have combinations of at least 2 papers around each bundle, which means the leaves get twice the use because they're printing on 2 pieces of paper face to face. And also I'm using less electricity or energy because I've got so many done in the one pot. So I've got 3 bundles done. I'll just hold my phone at an angle so you can see them. They're quite big. This one has 4 cans end to end. This one has 2 cans and this one has a copper pipe. So it will be interesting to see the different effects they have because of what they've been wrapped around and because of the types of fabric and whether they've had an iron dip or not. So this is silk and wool. This is a top and this is a linen top. Both of these are plus sizes. And I'm just about to put them into the dirty pot now. The pot is just coming to the boil, which is just what I wanted. And I'm putting the 3rd bundle in. The other 2 are already in and have sunk right down. And the next one goes in. And I've got some tongs that I use just for this because they're extra long. And I'll just push it in so that it's submerged. They will float sometimes, especially as it starts to boil, but that's okay. I'll just push them down again every now and again. So I'll leave these to boil for 3 hours. I've now turned this pot off. It's been cooking for just over 1.5 hours. It's really hot, so I'm going to let it cool down before I remove the bundles. And you'll notice that the water level has gone down a bit and the top bundle is not sitting perfectly in the water. And what I'm going to do is just turn it over so that it can absorb some liquid the other way. But it would have steamed anyway, so I can see leaf prints coming through the paper and I think it's probably been quite successful. So as I said, when it cools down, I'll take the bundles out, then I'll leave them for a little while and then I'll unwrap them. It's still steaming, but it's been off for about half an hour. They've been cooking for the 3 hours that I mentioned, and they've changed colour quite a lot. I'm really pleased with the results on paper. Here is an overview of them on our kitchen dining table, and we're starting with some Khadi paper in 2 colours, in a blue-grey and in a cream, and these are all reversible also. This is a Khadi paper accordion book. It's a little bit curved, but I'll put that under books to flatten it out. And this is a cover from a Khadi paper journal, so I'll put new pages into that and make a new book out of it. These are 120 GSM sketchbook paper. You can see they tore a little bit, but they'll be great for collage. The thin card prints beautifully, and this is card that I've had for quite a while, that I bought for another purpose and it wasn't suitable. So it's great that it eco-prints so well. A piece of vintage silk, and I tried some lamandra or sag, and that's the feathery orangey colour shape. So this is not only good for paper, but it's also good for protein-based fabrics. It also works really well on these vintage wool pieces. And of course the eucalyptus and the banksia always reward me. Some more thin card, which again prints really beautifully. These are almost artworks in their own right, and I may even sell them as eco art prints. This is thin card also, and a slightly paler result, but still really lovely. And then a final look at the beautiful Khadi paper. This is my setup at Longford Blooms Festival. I brought my own props, but we were given tables and screens, which was really good. I brought some things to hang on the wall too, which was really helpful in extending the look of the whole pop-up shop. And on the table, I tried to bring some height in with my suitcases. The suitcases are used to carry everything to the event, but they're also really good to use in the display. And I've used them underneath the little stands for the necklaces and also the small dummy for the scarf. And then I've got the metal pedestal dishes, which also add a bit of height to the display, and some easels. Down the middle of one of the tables, I put a long piece of eco-printed wool, which was also for sale, but it helped to embellish the table. The tables are vintage and belong to the venue, and I do love the timber and the age of it and the patina on it. And I request them each year because they just set off my things so well. Here is some of the paper that I eco-printed. And really happy with how the lamandra printed, but also the eucalyptus and the bracken fern. This is thin card, and it's a card that really prints well, as I mentioned. These long pieces are also thin card. They are a little bit paler, but I still really like the prints, and the eucalyptus especially came out so well. There are two colours of cardie paper in this little case. Some are a cream colour and some are a blue-grey, as I mentioned in the earlier part of the video. This is an overview of the whole pop-up shop looking from the entrance to the building, and my friend's items are next to me just out of shot. I was a little bit worried about this particular journal entry. We were asked to use the cantha stitches we used in the previous project to do an embroidery. So one suggestion was a tree of life, and I really liked that idea, and I thought, will I be able to do this? And I actually surprised myself. Out of the list of, I think, 13 or 14 stitch types that Catherine talked to us about, I did 10. Some of them do cross over into our own traditions of embroidery, such as the French knots and the fly stitch and herringbone stitch. So they are familiar to me, but some of the others weren't, and I still managed to use some of them in this piece. I did a background of naturally dyed wool, so 2 different colours of naturally dyed wool, and then some coarse linen at the bottom, and it had an uneven edge on it as a scrap, and I just left it like that. And as I've mentioned before, I do like to do minimal trimming because I don't like to waste anything, and I'm trying to be responsible with the materials that I have. Then I used a variety of threads for the embroidery. So I've used some merino silk yarn for the ground part and for the stems, or at least these stems, and in the middle is a cream pearl cotton. I've used some variegated stranded embroidery floss here. I think the white is also, or the cream is also pearl cotton, and the blue is stranded embroidery cotton. To go with this, I've written a little piece, well, I actually have included a little piece that I wrote in 2020. Rose hips, small round bursts of red among the thorns. And then underneath I've put among thorns.